In life, a person dies twice. The first is upon their physical death. The second is when no one's left to speak their name and to tell their story. Welcome. My name is Stephan Zacharias, and I'm the outreach coordinator here at 1883 Stutsman County Courthouse State Historic Site. I want to thank you all for being here this afternoon for our Decoration Day tribute. I also want to thank the Jamestown Drum and Bugle Corps for agreeing to partner with us on this today. In a moment, I'll share more with you about why Decoration Day and why here in the courtroom of Stutsman County's courthouse. The inspiration for this entire event today comes from the words of a former William H. Seward post of the Grand Army of the Republic and Jamestown, North Dakota's very own cigar man, William Walton. He wrote in June of 1907, "We are dropping out the ranks one by one, and soon nothing will be left but the memory of the Grand Army of the Republic." The origins of the very first Decoration Day tradition in America has long been up for debate. Charleston, South Carolina, and the cities of Columbus, both found in Mississippi and Georgia, all lay claim to being the home of the first Memorial Day. Most historians, however, agree that the first Decoration Day happened at Charleston on May 1st, 1865. Prior to the end of the War of the Rebellion, the United States Civil War, Charleston's Washington Racecourse and Jockey Club was in use by the Confederate Army as an outdoor prison camp for Union prisoners of war. A prison where nearly 250 Union soldiers would lose their lives, all due to exposure and disease. They would be buried in a mass grave. At the end of the war, millions of formerly enslaved men, women, and children would come together initially to create freedmen communities and villages throughout former Confederate states. In Charleston, the members of the freedmen community, primarily made up of America's Gullah Geechee of West African descent, who in the tradition of their homeland were honorable warriors, deserved sacred burial, came together to reinter the Union dead in proper graves. It was a 2-week venture taken by 28 formerly enslaved workmen. They would have these soldiers reinterred in their own graves in the neat rows, and they called the place Martyrs of the Racecourse. With the proper burials complete, on May Day, 1865, in cooperation with white missionaries and some teachers, 3,000 formerly enslaved school children bearing roses led a parade nearly 2 miles long. Followed behind were women bearing wreaths and men marching together in a circle to honor the newly buried war dead. Veteran U.S. colored troops participated in this commemoration as well, including members of the famed 54th and 55th Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry. An estimated 10,000 people, majority formerly enslaved, participated in this May Day parade and ceremonies at the new burial ground that day. In the 1880s, those burials would be moved one more time and reinterred at today's Beaufort National Cemetery. Throughout the late 1860s and the early 1870s, freedmen communities would come together to start similar traditions at places like Arlington Heights, near Washington, D.C., and the site of old Fort Sumter Prison Camp at Andersonville, Georgia. Sites that today are home to Arlington and Andersonville National Cemeteries. On April 6, 1866, the Fraternal Order of the Grand Army of the Republic was established to bring together Union armed service members who had been honorably discharged in an effort to focus on 3 things: comradeship, charity, and the lobbying of the federal government for benefits for veterans and their families, and most particularly, a focus on widows and orphans that were left behind due to the War of the Rebellion. Despite their name, membership was open to soldiers, sailors, and Marines who had served with the Union Armed Forces between 1861 and 1865. On May 5th, 1868, the Commander-in-Chief of the Grand Army of the Republic, General John A. Logan, would officially establish a National Decoration Day to honor all Civil War dead by initiating an annual day for decorating soldiers' graves with flowers at a time of year when spring flowers would be in bloom all across our nation. The members of the GAR would be further instructed to not only decorate the graves and raise the flag, but to renew their pledge to continue to support the widows and orphans of their fallen comrades. General Order Number 11, Washington, D.C., May 5th, 1868. The 30th day of May, 1868, is designated for the purpose of strewing with flowers or otherwise decorating the graves of comrades who died in defense of their country during the late rebellion, and whose bodies now lie in almost every city, village, and hamlet churchyard in the land. In this observance, no form of ceremony is prescribed, but popes and comrades, in their own way, arrange such fitting services and testimonials to respect as circumstances may permit. We are organized, comrades, as our regulations tell us, for the purpose, among other things, of preserving and strengthening those kind and fraternal feelings which have bound together the soldiers, sailors, and Marines who united to suppress the late rebellion. What can aid more to assure this result than cherishing tenderly the memory of our heroic dead, who made their breasts a barricade between our country and its foes? Their soldier lives were the reveille of freedom to a race in chains, and their deaths the tattoos of rebellious tyranny in arms. We should guard their graves with sacred vigilance. All that the consecrated wealth and taste of the nation can add to their adornment and security is but a fitting tribute to the memory of her slain defenders. Let pleasant past invite the coming and going of reverent visitors and fond mourners. Let no vandalism of avarice or neglect, no ravages of time testify to the present or to the coming generations that we have forgotten as a people the cost of a free and undivided republic. If other eyes grow dull, if other hands slack, and other hearts cold in the solemn trust, ours shall keep it as long as the light and warmth of life remain to all of us. Let us then, at the time appointed, gather around their sacred remains and garland the passionless mounds above them with the choicest flowers of springtime. Let us raise above them the dear old flag, which they saved from dishonor. Let us, in this solemn presence, renew our pledges to aid and assist those whom they have left among us, a sacred charge upon a nation's gratitude, the soldier and sailors, widows and orphans. It is the purpose of the Commander-in-Chief to inaugurate this observance with the hope that it will be kept up from year to year for generations, while a survivor of this war remains to honor the memory of his departed comrades. He earnestly desires the public press to lend its friendly aid in bringing to the notice of comrades in all parts of the country in time for simultaneous compliance therewith. Department commanders will use all efforts to make this order effective. By order of the Commander-in-Chief, John A. Logan, Adjutant General N.P. Chapman, Official William T. Collins, Assistant Adjutant General. North Dakota National Guard 18 and 88, Decoration Day Order. May 30th has been set apart by the national authority as a day sacred to the memory of its defenders who have passed beyond the outposts of time. Our old comrades are now missed at roll call. They lie bivouacked in line in national cemeteries along the levees of southern rivers and repose singly and by the squad in every city of the dead in our Northland. Besides many whose bones have mingled with the muddy ooze of southern swamps, were unknown and uncared for, their lives went out in the line of duty. This day has been set apart for this nation to manifest its gratitude to these dead heroes by strewing the flowers of spring upon their graves, and by such appropriate services as may seem best to their surviving comrades. The Department Commander of the Grand Army of the Republic of Dakota has requested a general observance of this day. His wishes and those of the comrades he represents should be respected by all, and especially by us, their legitimate successors. Company commanders of the 1st Regiment will aid and assist with their commands in any way which appears to them most proper in the observance of this Memorial Day, working in harmony and under the supervision of the Grand Army posts in their several localities. And where there are no Grand Army organizations nearby, company commanders are requested to turn out their companies and remember every old soldier's grave in their location. At this time, I'd ask everyone to please rise for the playing of our national anthem. You may be seated. May 18 and 84. Pursuant to a notice, a meeting was held last night at the Doolittle Law Offices of Colonel Isaac Wade to consider organizing a post of the Grand Army of the Republic in Jamestown, Dakota Territory. Motion was made by those organized. A post of the Grand Army of the Republic was unanimously adopted, and a committee selected to make necessary papers for organization. On June 26, 1884, right here in this very courtroom where we are today, Inspector General Noah N. Tyner of Fargo, a mustering officer of the Grand Army of the Republic National Chapter, came to Jamestown, stood in this courtroom, and duly installed the William H. Seward Post, number 65 of the Grand Army of the Republic. Along with each and every elected member, he would also swear them in. This post began that day in June 1884 with 27 charter members here to the courtroom. Only those men who took part in the War of the Rebellion and who served between the dates of April 15th, 1861, and April 9th, 1865, are eligible for membership in any post, and not then unless an honorable discharge had been received. The first date, that is the date on which Fort Sumter was bombarded. The second date is, of course, that of General Lee's surrender at Appomattox. Posts of the Grand Army of the Republic are only to be named after a deceased soldier or statesman. And in accordance with that rule, the Jamestown, Dakota Territory Post is thereby named after William H. Seward, Sr., Secretary of State during the War of the Rebellion. On October 30th, 1884, the Jamestown Weekly Alert would report that the youngest man in the William H. Seward Post is now 38 years of age. The following is the October 1884 roll call of members of the Grand Army of the Republic, William H. Seward Post, number 65. Reverend Dr. John Harrison Hartman, Company G, 86th Ohio Volunteer Infantry, elected 1st Post Chaplain. Isaac Clinton Wade, Company M, 22nd New York Cavalry Regiment, elected 1st Senior Vice Commander. General Elliot Samuel Miller, Company B, 39th Regiment Illinois Volunteer, Yates Phalanx, elected 1st Post Commander. Borden Mills Bird Hicks, Company E, 11th Michigan Volunteer Infantry. At 19 years of age, Bird Hicks was promoted, the youngest captain in the Northern Army. William R. Clark, Battery H, 1st Ohio Volunteer Light Artillery, Huntington's Battery, elected 1st Post Officer of the Day. James Wilson Davidson, Company H, 71st Regiment Illinois Volunteer Infantry. Howard Herman Hall, Company F, 12th Ohio Volunteer Cavalry. Fernando C. Nichols, Company G, 88th Indiana Infantry Regiment, and Company A, 1st United States Volunteer Veteran Engineers. His brother, John Joel Nichols, Company C, 152nd Indiana Infantry Regiment. Lyman Beecher Minor, Company M, 2nd New York Volunteer Mounted Rifles, Stutsman County's 1st Register of Deeds. Ensign Lippert Calkins, Company G, 9th New York Heavy Artillery, originally known the Auburn Regiment, later earning the name Seward's Pets for their regimental commander, William H. Seward, Jr., son of the Secretary of State. E.L. Calkins, elected 1st Post Officer of the Guard. John Fillmore Venum, Company D, 150th Illinois Infantry, elected 1st Post Quartermaster, a Stutsman County Auditor. Henry J. Porter, Company B, 1st Regiment Vermont Heavy Artillery, and Company G and Company K, 2nd United States Veteran Reserve Corps. Charles Hager Clemmer, Pfeiffer, 83rd Ohio Volunteer Infantry, elected 1st Post Adjutant, a Stutsman County Superintendent of Schools. Dr. Charles Alonzo Wilson, Company I, 25th Regiment Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry, and Surgeon Steward, U.S. Navy, serving on board the USS Delaware and USS Onward. He was elected 1st Post Surgeon. Philip Friedrich Fauda, Company I, 9th Michigan Cavalry, and Company C, 28th Michigan Infantry. Dwight Locke Wilbur, Company B, 87th Ohio Volunteer Infantry, elected 1st Post Council of Administration. Edmund Lapisse Wells, Company G, 1st Ohio Cavalry, and 155th Regiment Illinois Volunteer Infantry, elected 1st Post Junior Vice Commander. Theodore Wellington Fearing, Company I, 44th Iowa Infantry Regiment. Alfred Dickey Sr., Company H, 14th Indiana Volunteer Infantry, and Company M, 1st Indiana Heavy Artillery, elected 1st Post Council of Administration. Dr. Simon Henry Drake, Company K, 34th Iowa Infantry Regiment, and Company E, 38th Iowa Infantry Regiment. Samuel Kennedy McGinnis, Battery B, 1st Pennsylvania Light Artillery, Cooper's Battery, elected 1st Post Council of Administration as Stutsman County Treasurer. William McClellan, Battery B, 1st Pennsylvania Light Artillery, Cooper's Battery. Thomas S. Collins, Company D, 16th Illinois Infantry Regiment, and Company F, 129th Illinois Infantry Regiment, and a sergeant of the United States Signal Corps. Settled and built the very first permanent shanty at the James River and Pipestem River crossing on November 11th, 1871, 15 days before the U.S. Army would arrive at the James River crossing to establish Fort Seward. First Stutsman County Treasurer from 1876 to 1882. Elected Stutsman County Assessor, the first to work in this building. Elected 1st Post Sergeant Major. Richard Stephen Reeves, Company F, 4th Minnesota Volunteer Infantry, and Company C, 5th Minnesota Volunteer Infantry, a Stutsman County Notary Public, elected 1st Post Quartermaster's Sergeant. William Oscar Ward, Company F, 4th Minnesota Volunteer Infantry Regiment, 2nd United States Army Corps, Company F, 2nd United States Veterans Volunteers. Miltis Carr Brooks, Company A, 4th Michigan Cavalry Regiment. H.D. Tallman, 19th Massachusetts Infantry. Harrison D. Bristol, Company E, 110th New York Infantry Regiment. James McKenzie, Company B, 1st Battalion, Massachusetts Heavy Artillery. S. Whitback. Henry Byron Bush, substitute for drafted man William Chalmers, Company A, 2nd Minnesota Volunteer Infantry Regiment. George Holton Woodbury, Company F, 10th Minnesota Infantry Regiment, an original Stutsman County Commissioner. Henry James Vesey, Company D, 2nd Minnesota Volunteer Infantry Regiment, Union POW at the Battle of Chickamauga. Escaped from Confederate Danville prisons in Virginia. Jamestown's very first grocer in 1879, and his Eldridge, North Dakota General Store, the longest serving general store in the state of North Dakota. Serves customers this afternoon. You can get some ice cream at his Frontier Village General Store in Jamestown, North Dakota. Jacob Lau, Company G, 27th Ohio Infantry Regiment, built and operated Jamestown's Capitol House. Patrick H. Gaffney, Company K, 20th Iowa Infantry Regiment, and 20th Iowa Infantry Regiment Field and Staff Company. Judson Adoram Wright, Company F, 13th Regiment, Michigan Volunteer Infantry. His brother, Monroe Wellington Wright, Company B, 2nd Michigan Cavalry Regiment, and father of Stutsman County Sheriff Dana Monroe Wright. William Wilder Gray, Company G and Company D, 12th Regiment Michigan Infantry, a Stutsman County auditor. William Walton, Company B, 145th Regiment New York Infantry, and Company E, 107th Regiment New York Infantry. In a 1921 report of the Jamestown Weekly Alert, the editor would note, the muster rolls of the Post show that in its total, the membership since its induction in 1884 has a total of 142 men. And of this large number, in 1921, we have 11 members surviving. Of these surviving members, 6 are in the city, 2 in New Rockford, 2 in California, and 1 in Montana. Every branch of the United States service was represented here among its members of the Fort Seward Post. Its membership including soldiers who had served with the U.S. regulars, the infantry, the cavalry, and the light and heavy artillery, and the U.S. Navy. Among its membership, there were men from every single northern state, with one single exception. No one reports to be from New Jersey. It has been said, for those that fight for it, freedom, it has a flavor that the protected will never know. At this time, I would like to invite all veteran and active duty service members here today to please rise and to be acknowledged. We thank each and every one of you for your service here, and most importantly, for those of you who have yet to receive it, on behalf of the forever grateful citizens of Stutsman County, welcome home. Eugene Virgil Smalley was born in Randolph, Ohio in 1841. E.V. Smalley would serve with the 7th Ohio Volunteer Infantry Regiment during the War of the Rebellion, being wounded at the Battle of Port Republic on June 9, 1862. Following a medical discharge, E.V. Smalley was sent to Washington, D.C., where he would be appointed as a clerk to the 40th Congressional House Committee of Military Affairs under his friend and fellow Ohioan, Representative James Garfield. E.V. Smalley would also later serve as Representative Garfield's personal secretary. In 1873, E.V. Smalley would leave his clerkship and turn to journalism. He became a correspondent for the New York Tribune. In 1880, he authored his work, The Republican Manual, History, Principles, Early Leaders, Achievements of the Republican Party. This work also documented the U.S. presidential campaign and victory of his friend, James Garfield. Following the assassination of President Garfield, E.V. Smalley would turn his interests to promoting westward expansion, becoming the editor and publisher of the Northwest magazine, writing and publishing as well the history of the Northern Pacific Railroad. And in the late 1880s, he would buy up over 100,000 acres in eastern North Dakota's Barnes, Foster, and Stutsman counties as a land agent promoting immigration. A frequent visitor to Jamestown and a local property owner, the old war veteran, E.V. Smalley, would be asked to give an address during the very first Decoration Day ceremonies held throughout Jamestown, Dakota Territory, 140 years ago on this very day, May 30th, 1885. he would deliver this following address at the gravesite of Jamestown's very first GAR veteran and the very first Freemason to be buried at Highland Home Cemetery, Sergeant Delos D. Stutsman, Company A, 12th Illinois Cavalry Regiment. Soldiers of the Grand Army, ladies and gentlemen, in the great National Cemetery in Arlington Heights near Washington, where the dead of the war lie in serried ranks of green mounds, almost countless in number, there is an inscription on a tablet which remains in the memory of every visitor, and it reads, "On fame's eternal camping ground, their snow-white tents are spread, and glory guards with solemn round the bivouac of the dead." We have faith that those who lie beneath these mounds and beneath many other mounds scattered over this broad land are not in reality dead. They live, not alone in our memories and in the honor which a grateful country accords them. They live, as we firmly believe, a conscious life in a better country. May we not also believe that on this anniversary day, when we meet together to pay tribute to their memory, they look down upon us as unseen witnesses of our ceremony today. Dakota, my friends, is not a land of the dead. It is, in a peculiar sense, a land of the living, full of earnest, vital people whose thoughts seldom turn towards the grave. Yet now and then an old soldier drops by the way in the march of life out on those verdant prairies and passes on to answer to his name at the great roll call. There will be more numerous as the years go by, and more numerous will be the annual procession on this Decoration Day that go out from the cities and towns to visit all their graves. The day will then become more sacred and more observed as the years roll on, until finally there will be few left of the Grand Army of the Republic who saved the Union to participate in the proceedings. To us old soldiers, this day brings back solemn memories. Memories of toilsome marches and dreary bivouacs and fierce conflicts. Memories, too, of loved comrades who passed away from our sight. Wildly separated by distance or death, more than all the hardships and dangers of the war do we now recall at this distance the loving comradeship of those absent friends. Old scenes come back to us, old faces start to life again. Out of the obscurity of the past, to us in a special degree, is the day symbolic and memorable, that it should be perceived with tender thoughtfulness by the younger generation, to whom our great Civil War is only history and tradition. It's very gratifying to us. Surely the dead have not died in vain when all over this great republic processions go forth with flowers and banners as each returning springtime leaps into summer to honor their graves. On many thousands of green mounds today, nature's most beautiful symbols of life, fresh flowers, will be strewn, and the flags which typify our national unity and strength, preserved through the blood and fire, will be reverently planted there. Here at the Courthouse on Decoration Day each year, musical performances by Jamestown's local citizens, school children, and at many times, Gustav Gus Lieber's Jamestown Cornet Band, a band featuring many of our local veterans, would perform the musical program of the day as part of the Decoration Day exercises. Today, we are pleased to be joined by our featured special guest, the Jamestown Drum and Bugle Corps, who are here now to provide the musical program of the day.
Our first song today is Military Escort, a classic American Regimental March, composed in 1923 by Henry Fillmore. Its catchy, open tone, brass fanfares made it very popular. Even the March King, John Philip Sousa, praised this song. Our next selection is Armed Forces Bugle. For any veterans out in the audience, when you hear the song for your branch of service, raise your hand or stand up. We will play all 6 service tunes in the following order: Coast Guard, Space Force, Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines. Sentimental Journey was Doris Day's first big hit in 1945, accompanied by Les Brown and his band of renown. When I first started playing the drum corps 37 years ago, I played mellophone, but it only had 2 valves, so I couldn't play all the notes. Chuck McKenzie, our director, talked me into playing a 3-valve bugle by getting us this song, which I requested. Now, I play a 3-valve mellophone that we bought off eBay. Is a British march composed in 1914 by Lieutenant F.J. Ricketts. Ricketts was a British Army bandmaster who later became the director of music for the Royal Marines. This is the song the POWs are whistling in the 1957 film Bridge over the River Kwai. is a song we acquired in honor of former Mayor Charlie Creator. Happy Days Are Here Again was the theme of Franklin Delano Roosevelt's 1932 presidential campaign and victory, an upbeat tune during the Great Depression. Tax for the Fallen Brave was a song Don Alterman heard on the radio. He kept telling our director, Chuck, it's in our range. It's in our range. So Chuck bought the music and arranged it for our group. It was originally released in 1970 by the group 101 Strings. drummers. Go ahead.
I'm Denise Simonson from Spiritwood Lake, North Dakota.
Warren Moore from Jamestown, North Dakota.
Mitch Doyle from Judd, North Dakota.
Mike Sauer from Jamestown, North Dakota.
Susan Egg from Jamestown, North Dakota.
Jeff Schimm, Montclair, North Dakota.
Joel Hansen, Valley City, North Dakota.
Gordon Johnson, Valley City, North Dakota.
Bruce Nickel, Wimbledon, North Dakota.
Bill Dreyer, Jamestown, North Dakota.
Before we leave today, I do want to give you an admonishment, I suppose, or an encouragement from the Jamestown Alert. They chose to remind their readers on the night in 19 and 22 with the following. Memorial Day. It is no funeral occasion. On the contrary, it's a joyous affirmation of our gratitude that these men lived, and for our faith that they are still triumphantly living elsewhere. Therefore, we bring them music and laughing flowers. This day is but a public extension of the private hour of remembrance. We invite the world at large to share with us these memories, wherein the roll call of those who answer no more is called. And as the name of each brother is passed in review and his achievements brought to mind, a light breaks forth and music carries to him the message of our hearts. At this time, I will ask that everyone please rise, and at the conclusion of taps, on your way out, make sure you grab a flag, a lapel pin with poppy, and take a moment. We do have a book there that tells the story of all 40 men whose names were called from the October 1884 Grand Army of the Republic. We are open 7 days a week right now, 9 to 5. Come back, take a tour, ask questions. We can tell you all kinds of, many more stories about each and every one of these men. But at this time, please rise, and thank you all very much.